Alrighty, so I think good morning, everyone. So I thought I'll spend since a lot of you are entrepreneurs, I'll talk about digital transformation at a very basic level and see if there could be some takeaways for you, to kind of take this journey forward within your organization. I have gone through everyone's profiles, but I really don't have a view into where you are in the overall, your digital journey within your respective organization. So I've tried to keep the PPT very general so that you can, pick certain nuggets from there and see if you could take it back to your business. So I was hoping to keep this interactive rather than a monologue. So um, uh, if that's okay, Kanchan, I think I'll just.
Absolutely, Kapil.
So I think the first question here is what is digital transformation, right? So does anyone want to take a stab at that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I can give it a go.
Okay.
So generally, I mean, I feel like businesses, they have a traditional way of doing things. Whereas over the past decade or so, like using digital, there are a lot of things that can happen. Like right now, from an example of selling your products online to designing a consumer journey to analytics to having a backend CRM. So there's a lot of actually ways through which an organization could fulfill its maximum potential through its systems and processes using digital and technology. And that's what I feel like a journey of digital transformation is. And the pandemic has pretty much accelerated or catalyzed the entire uh, digital and innovation transformation in organizations.
Right. So I think Aditya, thanks for that. Pretty well summarized. So I'll, get into. Before we get into that subject, I just broadly, we are going to cover these four areas in today's presentation. One is what is digital transformation at a high level with a view from Aditya, and then I'm going to talk about, what does it mean from a much broader perspective. Second would be why business need to go through digital transformation. So you could look at it from your specific, business standpoint. Some examples of digital transformation, so you can kind of put the dots together, right? And lastly, I'll try to cover how to digitally transform your business. So what is it that is needed to do this transformation? Again, there are a lot of ways of doing that, and there is no one size fits all. But I've tried to keep it pretty generic and given few pointers there. So that's the agenda overall. And let's start with what is digital transformation. So Aditya touched upon it. But if you classically look at digital transformation, it's always been there, right? So the last decade or so, if you look around yourself, most of the technology or platforms that you use today on a day-to-day working, say Google or LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, right? So all of them are examples of companies that have mastered digital transformation, right? So if you look today, statistically, I think out of the top 10% of the Fortune 500 companies are probably digital companies at the core, right? Whether it's Google or it's LinkedIn or it's Microsoft or it's IBM. So I think all of them have mastered this art and have really used transformation to their advantage. So if we classically talk about it, it basically what it means is to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experiences, right? So these three are very core of any digital transformation. You don't want to use technology just for the sake of it. Why do you want to use it? You want to tailor your business processes, or if you're a startup, you just want to start with a good hygiene with respect to your business processes that becomes scalable as you grow. Second important aspect is the culture, right? So how do you use transformation or digital technologies to build a culture of trust, collaboration, right? So that is what that second culture talks about. And eventually the heart of it all is customer experience, right? Because that's what we all are here for, to service a customer, right? So if there is no need, there is no customer, we don't have a product, we don't have a sale, and we don't have the cash flow that we need to sustain ourselves. Basically, uh, the second part of this, the overall digital transformation is kind of, this whole reimagining of your business in the digital age, right? So, how do you look at your business, which might be very traditional right now, but you all have been, or we all have been using technologies, and we are digital to some extent, or quite an extent, at least in India. So how do you see your, or reimagine your business in this new world of digital ecosystem that's all around us? So so that is what, overall digital transformation, in the nutshell would mean. At the I've just put a mother statement there saying that digital transformation, begins and ends with how you think about and engage with customers, right? So as I said, the heart of it is customers, and your transformation, for it to really work to your advantage, needs to be focused around it, right? So you are a think customer, from every point of view, from the first customer acquisition stage, or how you're acquiring a customer, or taking a lead and then converting it to a prospect, to how you are going to then, dialogue with the customer, how you going to do the contracting with the customer. So there's a digital play there. How you're going to facilitate the ease of business with the customer, and then once you have a customer in place, how do you nurture and make sure that the stickiness with that customer is maintained, right? So that is where your digital marketing and digital campaigning and customer engagement and customer 360 comes into play. So overall, this is what, digital transformation means. um, I would, anyone wants to add to that? Are you, or if there is any question at this point in time, I can take them later. Or if you feel that it's more relevant, and you want to, raise the question right now, I'll be more than happy to do that. Um, Okay, so if not, so if you look at it, digital transformation is actually changing the way business gets done, right? And in some cases, it's creating entirely new classes of businesses. So with digital transformation, the companies are taking a step back and they're revisiting everything that they do, right? So from internal systems to customer interactions, both online and in person, right? So how retail is getting transformed today in the store versus how retail is getting transformed today online, right? So all the companies are right now looking at that, and then trying to reimagine their business. And as we're firmly, entrenched in this digital age, and businesses of all sorts are creating clever, effective, and disruptive ways of leveraging technology, we have to be very cognizant of how we are going to sustain our business, right? So I often quote this example, and I think a lot of you are doing a reading club on this. So Netflix, for example, right, is a great company. So if you look at it, it started out as a mail order service, right, and disrupted the brick and mortar video retail business. So I remember I was in US at that time, and I used to rent, video movies, and there was no Netflix. And when Netflix came into India, I switched to, ordering these movies over mail, right? And you could order, I think, two or three, depending on the subscription that you had. And the mail order would come. Generally, it'll come the next day, or within 2 days, and then you have a week to kind of, go through your movies and then return them. So I saw that whole, Netflix taking over the brick and mortar shows, and suddenly, these big blockbuster stores that were there were shut down, right? So they basically took digital innovation and made wide scale streaming video possible, right? So today Netflix takes on traditional broadcasting companies. They take on cable television networks and production studios all at once, by offering a growing library of on demand content, and at ultra competitive prices, right? So it's, I think, cheaper than how we would rent a movie back in the days. So if you look at it, the digitization actually gave Netflix the ability not only to stream video content directly to the customer, but also to gain unprecedented insight into viewing habits and preferences. Now, that's really important, right? So it uses all this data to inform everything from the design of its user experience, to the development of first run shows and movies at in-house studios, right? So that's a big feat. So that whole digital transformation in action, like taking advantage of available technology to inform how a business runs, is really what kind of, is a beautiful example of how Netflix did that. um, So, the, another important aspect I touched upon here is data, right? So, uh, in a traditional, model, if you take Netflix a step ahead, I would get video. I will rent a movie, and all these video stores are renting these movies. There is no log of what is the viewing pattern, what movie gets rented, how many times, what pockets within the city or specific societies watch what kind of content, right? Is it more Hollywood content? Is it more contemporary content? Is it more Bollywood? Now, with all this data and with all this digitization, uh, the companies are able to uh, engage with customers in a wholly totally different way, right? And you see the same example in Amazon, right? All of us shop at Amazon, and you see that it's the ease of getting products at your place. And also Amazon then learns out of your spend patterns and your consumption patterns, and makes your whole interaction on the platform much more easy and seamless, right? So at the core of it, this is what digital transformation is. So I hope you got a sense of what it means. And I think the first step of any digital transformation is digitization, which textbook understanding of that term would mean that you first need to digitize your content or your business processes onto a computer system before you can start your digital transformation journey, right? So at the core of it, you got to move away from pen and paper and see how things can be moved onto a system for you to then take the next step forward. So moving on, uh, I wanted to touch upon why businesses need to go through digital transformation. So customer happiness is how you win in business, right? So is there anyone that feels that probably there is that's not true? Uh, right. So I have and again, this is a gist of working with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, right? They're very centered around customer, right? So they're very concerned how customer feels, how customer interacts, how customer re-engages. So I think at the core of it, it's customer happiness. And they believe, and most of the companies kind of that are successful believe that this is how you win in business, right? Because happy customers means repeat business, means good word of mouth, and it just helps the business grow. So root of any change in business starts with the customers, and I think ends with the customer. So I've just kind of tried to categorize why business need to go through digital transformation. So the first one is digital innovation shapes business across all industries. So what does that mean? So if you look at it, digital transformation today is impacting every industry, right? Whether it's furniture. So if you talk about IKEA, they're now looking at how we could use augmented reality to prevent customers or to rather enable customers to interact or look at furniture in a totally different way, right? Instead of an image, can they really interact with the image of a furniture, right? And some of their new innovations, and they've been spending a lot of doing a lot of research in that space, and I think the app is out now, where you could use augmented reality to actually see how a furniture looks like in a 3D animated form. Companies like Mini, Cooper, that kind of where you could virtually bring up a car and try to interact with the car in some of their stores in Europe, right? So the car is not physically there, but you wear the AR hardware, and you can interact with car. You can change colors, you can customize your vehicle, you can see how it'll look before you go and order, right? So that's a whole different way of how innovation is driving how a customer at the core wants to interact with organizations. So whether your business generates revenue through client services, digital media, physical goods, technology innovations can actually transform your means of production, distribution, and customer services, right? So that is what digital innovation, shaping business across all industries about. A second important aspect here is customers expect digital technology and innovation, right? So today customers are connected and empowered by the digital era, and it's very true for India, right? Because we are a young country. A lot of the millennials are mobile first. They're born with a mobile in their hands. So they are connected 24/7, and they increasingly want and expect that same round the clock access to the companies they want to do business with, right? So the key drivers behind this change is consumer behavior, is basically the mobile device and social media. that is now triggering how we kind of expect customers to interact with us. A third important area of the why of why we need to become digital transformation is digital first employees are connected employees, right? So millennials now, more than any other subset of workforce, are proponents of the digital first mentality. So having come of age on personal computers or phone apps, millennials expect to enjoy the same powerful, easy to use digital tools in the workplace as they do in the rest of their life. So I have, being a group CIO for about 5 companies that are under the Safexpress umbrella, we have a pretty young workforce, right? So and I constantly see that there is this need, can we make this business app more like a Twitter, or a more like a very easy to use kind of a application? And that's a very difficult feat to do from a technology perspective, right? Because your companies are so vested into products like SAPs, or the complex CRMs from Oracles, and they are not really built with digital in mind. So how do you empower your employees to kind of get infrastructure and tools and build those ecosystems so that they could work seamlessly and more productively on these platforms? So that kind of is another reason as to why businesses need to go digital. uh, and I think the fourth area I wanted to cover here was digital innovations are actually transforming industries. So machines themselves are getting smarter too, right? So I think you talked about having a session on artificial intelligence, right? So I understand that you would know what it means at a broad level. So AI, or the Internet of Things, which literally just means that any device that could communicate to the internet, or can connect, is basically under the ambit of Internet of Things, right? So with AI, IoT, and cloud analytics and sensors of all sizes and capabilities that are out there, they're transforming the manufacturing, they're transforming production, they're transforming how the research is done. So virtually all facets of business across all industries are getting impacted, right? So I would like to take a pause here and just see if you have any questions, anyone, or am I going a little fast? Is it making sense?
No, so Kapil, what you're saying is making a lot of sense. The only thing is that, considering that you've been through our profiles, what is it that you would like to advise us? I mean, we do understand that, these are the various ways, and these larger companies and how they are so customer centric and they're so customer focused and they use these various things. But what, as a information technology person, would you recommend for people like us? So we are not startups, but we are not highly digitalized businesses yet. So what all are the areas that you think that we can adapt digital and information and all this technology into our businesses? And where do you think we should take the first step, apart from the basics of emails and everything that we do?
Right. So that's a fair question, Kanchan. So I think the first step would be to first digitize your processes, right? So like, if you're doing accounting on a piece of paper, I'm sure you're not. But can you look at, moving those processes to a technology platform, right? What I say there is that probably not invest in an Excel. I'm sure everyone's working on spreadsheets, but you got to look at, look beyond spreadsheets, right? And I think a part of these I'm going to cover in the next slide as well. For example, uh, just after the example of digital transformation, so I'll quickly skim through this then, and then we'll talk more about, probably have a little more interactive session around what you could do with respect to your individual businesses that you guys are running. So some examples I think here I just wanted to cover is marketing, for example. At a high level, the goal of digital transformation in marketing, if you are using any kind of marketing right now, is to find more customers while spending less money, right? That's the goal. Can I, my, customer acquisition cost, can that come down? Can I, capture a customer sooner? Can my lead conversion rates go up, or can they be, crunched? So if you look at traditional marketing channel, here I've just tried to compare that with the digital marketing channel today, right? So print materials, I've now moved to digital materials. So they overall reduce the cost of distribution, and printing is obviously less. Your ability to score grade prospects based on digital interaction comes into play, which is not there with print material. Again, traditionally, if you're doing print mail campaigns, probably email campaigns are a better way of doing it. They reduce cost of print and postage, and they can scale better, and you could do more personalization, right? So there are certain softwares that are available where you could do some email campaigns with customized content. uh, again, the third area here is print billboard advertising. So I don't know if any one of you do that right now. If you do, another look at social media advertising as a channel, right? So that, because that is more personalized marketing, and you could target very specific customers, and which probably would lead to a much better conversion rate than on a traditional print and billboard advertising gives you. Again, brick and mortar storefronts. If you have a website, I really don't know how many of you have it, but if you look at it today, if I talk about any business, even if it's finding a psychologist, for example, I think that we have two folks here who are in that profession, or leadership coaching, right? Or furniture, or garments. My first, touch point as an exporter, or as a end customer, would be going on a digital channel, maybe a website or a Google, and trying to build an impression of the organization. So even if you have it, a customer first interaction there gives a lot of view into what you do, what kind of an organization you are, right? So that's your first face to the customer today. So maybe investing there is kind of makes sense. It's very difficult to quantify it at times, but it adds a lot of value in the long term. So again, if you could transform parts of your brick and mortar storefronts to online selling, or online trading, that could become a big plus point for you if you're not doing it already. And it gives you the capability to nurture prospects at scale as well, right? Which you don't really get in a brick and mortar storefront. And then loyalty club cards, that could be replaced with the mobile apps, where you could again get into more customer insight and the behavior of the customer as well. So that is marketing. So if you're doing any one of these, probably, or few of them are traditional, few are digital, then just look at this and see how you could transform there. So Kanchan, this could be a good starting point as well to evaluate what you're doing and what you could do. Uh, I think coming to the sales side, it gives you the ability to collect large amount of precise data on consumer behavior. And if you've understood AI at a broader level, it does allow you to give AI and data mining ability to create qualified leads. And again, I think that would be probably a little more ahead of the curve for a lot of us here. But the first step is to get digitized and then start looking at digital transformation by building an ecosystem of tools or platforms that can help you enable that. And again, retail, all of you would have seen it. We all have seen how retail has transformed, what Reliance is trying to do, or what Amazon has done already. So these are some examples of digital transformation. So I hope by this you have really understood what it means, the core, right? And then you can correlate with your day-to-day examples that are there. Now coming to how to digitally transform your business, right? So a digital transformation is a complete business transformation. It's crucial to keep this in mind if you're seriously considering transforming your business. So it's not just about updating IT systems and apps. So it's a cultural shift, right? So cultural shift means that if you have employees, and we looked at that video, right, that the core of any business is the people, right? Or a very important aspect of it. So this requires a cultural shift. There are people in traditional businesses. When I started in Safexpress, everything was getting moved on a piece of paper, right? So I think we have a person from the logistics industry here with us, so he could correlate better. So we are a express freight logistic company, which means that a good moves from A to B through multiple consolidation centers. So it could go through multiple warehouses before it moves, gets delivered to the final customer. And we are into enterprise business, so we are basically B2B, right? So, and all of this movement, there was an ERP, but the movement used to happen on a piece of paper. So when a truck comes in, you print out this, the waybill numbers or the e-waybill number, challans or whatever you call them. And then you would, as you're unloading, you would find that number and then you tick it, right? So that's how you used to do it. So process used to be slow. There were a lot of claims. It had all kind of problems. So we looked at it. We said, okay, let's digitize it. And now everything is through handled scanners, and there are barcodes in every box at the pickup point to the final delivery. And we have visibility into the inventory movement every time it gets scanned. So at any point in time, we know where the good is or where a box is. The trucks have a whole IoT platform on top of it. So we could see where a box is every 6 minutes. We get a ping from the vehicle, right? So we could see where a particular shipment is on the road. Obviously, that information is not given to the customer for security reasons, but that is how a digital business or ecosystem was built there, right? To look at transshipment process altogether. So I think from your perspective, this is an important slide. So signs that your business is in fact in the need of transformation. So first is that you need to recognize, do you really need transforming right now, right? So these are some of the pointers. So you're not getting the referrals that you used to get. For example, repeat business isn't repeating like it used to. Tried and true promotions are no longer generating leads. Then cross department complaints are mounting about a lack of collaboration, information sharing, or teams operating into silos and so on. And your technology systems feel old, right? So you feel it's dated, it's kind of stopping you. You do a lot of work manually. So these are signs where you need to kind of wake up and then figure out that what I need to do, right? So some of you might be able to correlate with a few of these or maybe not, but this is what you need to look at. So this could be a good yardstick to go and look at your business and what you do on a day-to-day basis, and see whether you really need transforming right now or the level of transformation that you need, right? Then we talk about how to digitally transform your business. So here I could if you want, I could talk about how do you go about it, right? So the first thing is, first you identify that you really need it, because you need to convince yourself that you need this transformation to happen, right? And there are signs everywhere. Then the second thing is, you start with the process of as I said earlier, you digitize your business processes. So you look at your business processes and see what are the areas that I could digitize. If you're doing something on a piece of paper, can you lift it probably to an Excel as a first step, and then from to a more industry standard tool as a second step, right? Or if you could do the heavy lifting, you could directly move from paper to a tool based data movement or digitization. So again, I could talk about tools. There are thousands of them, so I really don't want to get into it, but I think there are a lot of tools. There are a lot of free tools as well in the market, um, that you could leverage depending on what you want to do, right? So if for example, if I take an order of example of garments, I think we had a beautiful presentation on that. So how are you kind of like, are you really keeping your interactions with the customer, are they digitally onto a platform, right? Or everything is over a phone or an email. So that could be a sign where you need some kind of digital transformation to move those interactions onto a platform, which could then help you build a lot of data and build insight, and probably engage with your customers in a much more granular level, right? So that could be a good starting point for furniture business. For example, you could look at your business processes and see how you're doing manufacturing. Is it everything? You have to, if suppose you're doing 10 orders today, and if I give you 100 orders suddenly, will you be able to scale it up or not, right? So look at that question. If a lot of that is on a piece of paper, you're obviously not going to do that, because we all have constraints of time, money, and resources, right? So to scale it, you got to look at or invent a business process which might not be digital, or which might not be on a technology platform. It could be a process to begin with, right? It could be something that you do ad hoc, but then you put a structure around it, and that becomes a business process. So that's your first step, right? Make a business process for your repeatable tasks that you do, and then you figure out what is the digital channel. Can I move it to a digital channel, which will then speed it up and help you with the overall scaling, right? So that could be your stepping stone and ladder there. I think the other aspect is your CRM. If you're not invested in a customer relationship management system, now could be a good time to do that. There are a lot of free tools there, but there are a lot of enterprise platforms as well. So that is where how do you get the leads? Are you able to get leads across omni channel, right? If you have a Facebook front, you have a Twitter front, you have a LinkedIn profile for your company, you have a website, you have a toll free number, there could be a lot of channels, you have a WhatsApp for business. So is all this data kind of coming together in a common view for you as an entrepreneur, or as the founder of the company? Can you see that today? If I ask you to tell me, how many leads have come today or in the last 1 week through all these channels, is it available somewhere, or you will have to ask someone to build a report and that'll take 2-3 days before you get to see it? So that is again an example of probably you need to tailor your business process. You need to invest in a customer relationship management system. So I would say that so there are a lot of facets to it. Similarly, your finance part of things, right? How are you doing your accounting? uh, how are you managing your finances? So I think you would be using some kind of a tool, maybe Tally or something that's out there. But then is that system then integrated with some of the other systems that you have? If you have a contract, the contract management, does it seamlessly integrate into your financing or your finance systems as well? So again, that is, as you go on, going up the ladder in maturity, is where you got to look at then integrating these systems. So your CRM should be able to talk to your finance should be able to talk to your contract management system, and then your customer service should also integrate into it. So that is what you need to look at. I would say that a lot of times it's also helpful to engage a partner that could help you with some of the digital aspects, right? Because it's not really that easy where you could do everything on your own. You could definitely, as an entrepreneur, do the business processing, because you should be owning it and figuring out what works best on the ground, and then use a partner to kind of trigger or take your digital journey forward. So here are some 5 steps that I kind of put together. You kind of encourage collaboration and breakdown of silos within your organization. So firstly, how do you collaborate? This could be one step for all of us, right? That do we have any tool where the folks collaborate? A lot of us might be using WhatsApp. We have groups, right? Maybe you have a leadership group, you have a sourcing group, and you're managing it through that. If it's working well, great. If not, you could invest in tools like Teams, where you could collaborate more seamlessly. You could share files, you could share content with your colleagues, and manage it much better. So breaking down those silos is really important across your business, so your folks within your business can talk to each other, and kind of move things faster on the ground, right? So that silos need to be broken. Second part here, a second step would be digitize your business processes and streamline your back office with automation. So now, once you've defined your business processes, then you figure out how do you want to digitalize them, and then look at automation of some of your back office processes. So which could mean, maybe you do payroll. If you have a company of 500, 700 people, and you have 4 or 5 people just managing payroll, do you want to outsource it? Do you want to automate it to some extent? Look at those questions and try to see what works best. Third area would be evaluate technology plays and interventions for all your touch points. So whether it's internal, your employees, your associates, your customers, right? So how can you kind of integrate all of them together? So this is where integrated ecosystem is what I was speaking about earlier comes into play. This probably would need some time if you've not done the initial few steps. This would be one of the later steps to kind of stitch the systems and have them talk to one another. Another area here, the fourth step would be build on an online business community for seamless collaboration and service. So this is your omni-channel strategy. So look at it. Do you have an omni-channel strategy right now? Right? How do you, if I, suppose, build this beautiful garment that I want to market out, how do I reach out to my customers? Do I, can I push at a push of a button, have it sent out across channels, right? So which could be WhatsApp, which could be your Facebook page, your LinkedIn listings. So figure that bit out, and because that'll really help with the reach and the leads, that how the leads start flowing in, will you'll really see a very big change there. uh, and the fifth important area is leverage the power of analytics for data driven decision making. Again, all of this fifth is really not possible until you have a digital ecosystem in place, right? For example, Aman's business is around furniture. So today we have the AI machine learning can give you the insight from data to tell you what kind of design patterns, or what kind of design lines work with in which pockets of the country or the city, right? So the modern designs are uh, say, for example, are more sellable in cities. And again, I don't really know the terminology of furniture, but you could mine that data to see what works best, right? And then your future designs could be influenced by the customer's buying pattern or the behavior pattern, right? If you do 40 designs, there is always these 5 that sell more, right? Can you really predict it and not create, just create those 5 to begin with and not invest in the other 35? Right? So that is the kind of power that you'll get from the data, but you need to have that data layer in place, or start capturing that data for some of these tools or technologies out there to work in your advantage. So overall,